Hello, and thank you very much for clicking onto this video. I guess you're watching this video because you are going to Antarctica, and I'm very, very jealous about that. If you are watching this video because you just watch my videos in general, then an extra thank you to you. So I have just got back from a 10-day Antarctica expedition cruise. I went with Intrepid and Chimu Adventures in November. I had such an amazing time, and I posted more videos from my trip before this video, so if you haven't seen those already and you want to kind of get excited, even more excited for your trip, then do go and watch those. But in this video I do want to focus on what to pack. Now generally I was very happy with what I packed. I did scour so many packing videos, so many packing blogs and lists. I definitely took a few too many things, and there's a couple of things I wish I had brought, but overall I feel like I packed well. The materials of the items I had were good, and that's why I wanted to tell you about it, just to make it a little bit easier for you. Now before I get into the exact items and kind of materials, the one thing I want to talk about is how you do need to think about the different stages of your trip to Antarctica and what to pack for those. Now most people will fly into Buenos Aires and then fly down to Ushuaia and then get on the cruise from there and spend time in each of those places. Now Antarctica cruises run during the summer, which means it is summer in Argentina, and it is hot when you land in Buenos Aires. Like I said, I was there in November. A few years ago I was there in January, and it is hot. Then when you fly down to Ushuaia, although it is still summer in Ushuaia never gets hugely hot just because of how south it is. But I did have some really lovely sunny days where even in a long sleeve top I felt quite warm, and that was in November. And definitely as the summer goes on, December, January, February, there will be warmer days, but it's definitely colder in Ushuaia compared to Buenos Aires. And then the other thing to think about is when you are on the ship, you need kind of a set of clothes for the few days when you are sailing to Antarctica via the Drake Passage and back again, and then finally your actual kind of excursion expedition clothes, which is probably what you are thinking about most. What do you need when you are actually in Antarctica? Thankfully, when it comes to packing, the cruise that I was on anyway, and I think majority of the cruises are very casual. Like we had no dress up nights, no captain dinner nights. Everyone was just in like joggers or jeans or leggings, on the bottoms, trainers, and then just some of their layers that they were then going to probably wear out in Antarctica, or just hoodies. It was very, very casual, so you don't need to really think about fancy cruise clothes like on top of your Antarctica clothes. However, when it did come to being on the ship, I actually read a lot of blog posts which said that the ship was warm and that people were in like t-shirts, and I packed a few lighter clothes like that, and I know a few other people on my trip did. But then our cruise ship wasn't that warm, which in a way was nice because I wouldn't have wanted to be in something light and then, you know, see whales from the ship where as soon as you go outside it's cold and you've got to layer all up to run outside. If you're in a t-shirt, for example, or sandals like some people said, it was nice to already have a few layers on the ship, so if we wanted to go out we could just put an extra jacket on, zip it up. If you do see quite a few packing lists, it may be warmer on your ship, but equally like us it may not be, so try and keep that in mind. Now for what to wear on the Antarctic excursions, when you're getting onto the Zodiacs and you're either doing a Zodiac cruise or you're doing a Zodiac cruise and then getting onto land, which honestly these trips are absolutely amazing. And although it takes a long time to get to Antarctica via the Drake Passage and all the travel, once you are in the Antarctic Peninsula doing these trips, it just makes everything so worth it. So I'm going to go through what I packed and what I wore there, which really worked for me. Now when I planned this trip to Antarctica and I was telling people, a lot of people were just like, wow, isn't it going to be so cold? And that was one of the things that I asked the tour company first, and actually that is not the case at all. When you're packing for Antarctica, you're kind of thinking about ski season wear because you are going in summer, you are not going in winter. No cruises run in Antarctica for winter, and once you get on your cruise, especially if they have like an educational program like ours did, you will learn a lot about winter in Antarctica and how you definitely do not want to be there. But actually when you're at the Antarctic Peninsula, especially if you're going in December and January in the mid-summer, it can actually get quite warm. I mean, you're still going to be cold, but it is definitely not that cold. And what actually generally makes Antarctica cold is the wind. So if you get a day with blue skies, sun and no wind, then it isn't going to be that cold. Of course, you do have to be prepared with extra layers because if the wind does come through, then it can become very cold. And if there's one thing that I learned from my Antarctica trip, is that you cannot predict the weather, and the weather is pretty crazy. We'll start at the feet. One thing I did see in a lot of packing videos, which I also recommend, is to pack lots of socks. I actually wore about 3 pairs of socks. These were kind of like a heat gen thermal sock. These are just kind of like wool, and then these are another kind of thermal one. I like this combo because none of them are hugely thick. I did pack hiking socks, which I think I wore just these underneath, but you will have boots given to you by the tour company, and when they ask you to try them on, like you'll have like a session of trying everything on before you do your excursions, and obviously you can put a few layers of socks on. I don't think you really want like a huge layer of socks, like thick, crazy thick socks under your boots. You really want some thin layers and some clever layers, and that's generally what you want to wear underneath everything when you're in Antarctica, is thin but kind of clever thermal insulated layers. And then for trousers, I actually wore 3 layers on all of my outings. I had this under layer of either a merino wool legging like this, or just some black thermal leggings that I got from Marks and Spencer's, which were also good just for them wearing around the ship as well, whereas these merino leggings, a lot of the time they're quite see-through in the back, so you can't really just wear them just as leggings around the ship, but the black thermal ones were really good, and they're still not too thick. Then ski pants are all you really need. You really do not need to get any Pacific kind of expedition trousers or anything. Like literally ski pants are exactly what you need. Now if you can, it is a good idea to get trousers like this with a side zip, just because then you're putting your boots and your wellies on, it's just a little bit easier to pull them up, because you're actually going to put your trousers over your welly kind of boot rather than tucking them in, because if water goes down, if you tuck them in and water goes down them, then all of your feet are wet, whereas this does really protect your feet. Now you might have a pair of ski trousers that are completely waterproof, but for me, what I did and what I saw recommended, and what I'm 100% glad that I did, was get an extra pair of waterproof trousers. Now these ones are just very thin. They are the Gore-Tex ones. I guess these ones do, when it's Gore-Tex, they do cost a little bit more money, but honestly, when I was in the Zodiac on one of our last days and it was snowing a lot, we had water coming over the sides of the Zodiac, I was just like, I am so glad I paid that little bit extra to know that I was getting really good waterproof trousers. I also bought these in a size up, which meant that they went over my ski trousers really well, and having side zip and poppers on these trousers definitely helped as well with putting my boots on. For the body, I had quite a few layers. I started off with just like a vest. This is just like a Thermogen, really thin vest. Obviously it doesn't look like it's going to keep you warm, but it does have that technology that is going to keep you warm. And then had a long sleeve merino wool top. Merino wool is really good because again, it is thin, so it's not too bulky, you can still move your body, but it does offer a really insulating layer, and you can get a lot of wears out of merino wool without it starting to get sweaty and smelly, which for a trip like this, especially if you are trying to pack light, you're trying to pack carry-on only, you know, tops like this that you can rewear multiple times without them getting too kind of manky are really good. So for my third layer, this is more of a like ski base layer. I did actually wear this skiing once. Again, it is quite thin, but it does have quite a warming layer in here, and I also like that it went up to my neck, because then it started to give me extra neck coverage, which is also needed in Antarctica. Now this fleece is something that I wore a lot. Actually, again, I wore it quite a lot in Ushuaia. I wore it on the way to Antarctica over a long sleeve top, and on the way back, and then I had this as my fourth layer over the black base layer and then under my coats. Now what's important as well when it comes to layering and keeping warm is to have stuff that does stay quite tight to your body. You don't want anything too big, and I did then have 2 coats over the top of this, so I really didn't want like a big oversized fleece that was gonna kind of restrict my movement. I'm glad I had this that was quite fitted. Then going with Intrepid, they actually gave us a black down jacket when we arrived on the ship, which I absolutely love. I mean, it's a really high quality jacket. It is Kathmandu, but they've got Intrepid here, although I feel like like wearing it now, we're just going to look like we work for Intrepid. But it also has Antarctica Expedition on the arm, which I think is super, super cool. This was my 6th layer, and I also wore this a lot on the ship, again, on the Drake Passage. When I was just going out onto the ship deck, I wore this a lot, and so did everyone else. And then we wore it when we were in Australia, and I wore it on my journey home. And then on top of this jacket, we had an outdoor jacket, which our tour company gave us. I think some companies do give you those jackets to keep yourself, so definitely look into like what equipment and clothing your tour company is going to provide you with. But I liked the fact that our tour company didn't give us that coat, because you know what they said is they want it to be sustainable. These kind of coats, you know, everyone will kind of wear again, but those big coats often, you know, we don't really need them, especially then trying to fit them in your baggage on the way home. One of the things I really loved is that the neck was so high on it, so again that really gave you that extra bit of warmth. And on the note of keeping your neck and your head warm, buffs are a really good idea for your neck, and then also to pull up over your face if you're on a Zodiac and it is extra cold. You don't really want to be taking a scarf, because you know, you've got these 7 layers basically on the top, which like I said are thin layers, so it doesn't really feel that much, but it is still a lot of layers. And then you're actually going to have like a life jacket or life buoyancy aid of some sort over the top of your jacket. And if you've got like your phone attached around your neck, your camera, the last thing that you really want is to have a big scarf. And because of the high neck of the jacket, it's really not going to do that much for you anyway. So what's really practical is a buff just to tuck into your jacket. You put that on kind of before you put your big jacket on, and then you can pull it up to cover your face as well. And then for the hats, a lot of people had a variety of different kind of beanie hats. I took a couple with me. I did have one which had a kind of extra thermal layer, but I must say when it came to them putting the hood up on the jacket, when it was snowing and quite windy and cold, having the hood up on the jacket they gave us was really handy. But if you have got a bobble on the top, then it doesn't fit as well, and you do look a little bit silly with it just like stuck up. So a woolly hat without a bobble, if you're just taking one, is a good idea, or take one with a bobble and one without. My camera just died, and I'm gonna get on to camera batteries next in this video. Now, just in terms of accessories and things like camera equipment, again, something I saw quite a lot was, you know, needing extra batteries, because batteries, it is a known fact that they do, you know, die a lot quicker in the coldness. And because of these morning and then afternoon excursions and time back on the ship, that actually gives you a lot of time to recharge your batteries. So even with me with my GoPro, often after one excursion it would be dying by the end. I just stuck it on charge during lunchtime, and then it was ready for the afternoon. And I did that with my camera batteries as well. So if you've got the stuff, you've got the room, by all means take it. But I feel like from what I read on packing videos, and then what I did is I went out and bought a few too many things that I didn't really need. So if you are in this position with lack of space, or you still need to buy a lot of stuff, then do keep in mind that a lot of stuff that you can recharge again, or you know, get changed out of, and then it will be ready again for the afternoon excursion. And also on the terms of camera, I mean, if you are into cameras, into photography, then you'll know, and obviously, that you need a zoom lens. I did go out and buy a zoom lens for my M50, which I'm filming this on, not with a zoom lens, and I was so thankful. I really do not know much about lenses at all, but I was so thankful for the lens I got, and I'm going to link that and kind of some other things that I bought online, mainly off Amazon, which were really fast delivery, because I didn't really, all of a sudden the Antarctica trip just came upon me, and it was like, wow, okay, I need to buy everything. So I'm going to link those on Amazon. Thankfully, there is Prime delivery. But even if you're not into photography, or you don't have the best camera, honestly, there were some people with all the gear, but then there were a lot of people who didn't have it, and I did capture a lot on my iPhone as well. But a lot of people just had a small compact digital camera, so it is up to you. But again, I feel like don't feel the pressure that everyone's going to have a big camera and all the fancy equipment and you're not, because it's probably not going to be the case. In terms of bags, you are going to need to take a dry bag to put some of your things in when you are on the Zodiac boat. Now, if you don't have much tech, then you're not really going to have that much to put in these bags, but it is nice to take maybe an extra pair of gloves. Or if you are going out to Antarctica in the summer months, where I said it can actually get quite warm, you might feel that you put all of those layers on, and then you then want to take a layer off when you're on land, so at least you've got a bag to put that in. I did just take a standard kind of dry bag that I had already. I mean, these work absolutely great. For me, this one is very thin, so it doesn't have that much protection, which is why I took a second bag. but quite a few people just took a bag like this, but just the kind of thick, slightly thicker one. So it will take up a little bit of extra room in your bag, but it will give protection to what's in it, whereas this one is quite thin. So I did buy this bag off Amazon. It doesn't kind of look like a dry bag, but it is one. It kind of folds up like the typical dry bags do, and it did keep everything dry. I mean, I do feel like we didn't actually have that much water coming off, you know, really off of the Zodiacs into the boats, but for Antarctica you really don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. That's the thing. Then I did also use this bag as my main hand luggage bag for my trip, so it just meant that I didn't have to kind of pack an additional bag. And then finally we have the hands. Now I did take a selection of gloves with me, which I am glad that I did. I also took some hand warmers, which I'll link below. I just got these on Amazon as well. They were super helpful, and I'm so glad I took them. So first off, I took some just ski gloves that I already had. I did wear these a couple of times, especially when my hands were very cold, although I'll explain afterwards why my hands were cold. But to be honest, I felt like when I had these on, you know, I really couldn't do much, or I couldn't do anything with my camera or my phone. Whether you end up wearing them or not, it's still just good to have them. The pair of gloves I did wear the most is these kind of slightly thinner gloves with the nice grip on them. Now with these I could use my camera okay, but I couldn't really use my phone, so I did end up just taking these off most of the time. And to be honest, most of us had gloves off a lot of the time. And again, we were there in November. In December, in January, it is going to be even warmer, and you can probably take your gloves off quite a lot. And then eventually, you know, our fingers would get really cold, and then we would put the gloves back on, and then that's where the hand warmers were really great. If you do plan to do the camping, the snow camping, I think these will be really helpful to take with you. You can also get ones for your feet. A lot of blog posts say about taking glove liners. I did buy some. I mean, I'm glad I took them because I did wear them with these gloves, which was like an extra layer. Did I need them? Maybe not. Am I glad I had them? Yes. You know, if you're on a budget, not wanting to spend as much money, trying to take less, then you probably don't need them. And then in terms of just some extra things to pack, I do wear contact lenses, so I took some extra contact lenses. I also took my glasses, which I was very glad that I did. Most people, for seasickness prevention, we had these pads that we just put on behind our ears. Most people had these. I then bought some seasickness tablets in Ushuaia, but I didn't use them at all. Either the pads were fine, or I just didn't really feel it. And to be honest, some people felt a little bit weird when we had a lot of movement, and I did definitely get the Drake shake, but most of us were okay. So I would say those patches are a good idea. Definitely use them. One thing I would say to take is kind of lanyards. I felt like when I was on the Zodiacs, I didn't have anything for my phone. I actually completely forgot. I do have a cover for case for my phone which has got like a neck lanyard, and I completely forgot to take it. That meant that I had my phone in my pocket. I was constantly taking it in and out, which I was fine with, but I mean, I so could have easily just dropped it, or when you went over a wave it could easily just have like jumped out of your hands. That's why I loved obviously having the camera around my neck as well. That just really gave you that security. I did have the GoPro attached to my wrist a lot of the time, and then even with the sunglasses, I was taking my sunglasses on and off a lot. On that kind of note, polarized sunglasses are recommended, but it is good to take just a second pair of like normal sunglasses as well. Having something even for your sunglasses to go around your neck, a good idea. It just saves you trying to shove stuff in your pockets, put stuff in your bag as you are zooming along, bouncing along on the Zodiac. A few other blog posts I read said about taking a lot of plastic sandwich bags, especially for the camera equipment, to put the camera equipment in, so it didn't all like fog up because of the cold outside versus the warmth inside. Now, like I said at the start, our ship really wasn't that hot inside, which was nice because we didn't have that polar opposite temperature. So it might have been because of that, but it also, you know, again, Antarctica, like I said, it's not that cold. It's like ski season's cold. It's not Antarctica winter cold, and no one's camera had any problems. So in the end, I took quite a lot of sandwich bags and things that I really didn't need. Then of course, I took all my usual toiletries and things. It's worth checking on your ship what your ship provides. We did have hair dryers in our bathroom. They also provide us provided us with shower gel and shampoo. For the towels, they provided us with a robe. So I think that is about everything. I thank you for watching this video if you are still watching. I do have a blog post as well with all of this written out with a packing list linked below, and like I said, there are also Amazon links below to a few of the things I've mentioned here that I really loved, that came quickly, were a good price, and I used a lot. So thank you for watching. Enjoy your trip to Antarctica. Let me know if this video has helped you in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up if it has, and I will see you in my next video.